Ever wondered how an empire could be so feared that its name became a byword for terror? Let's dive into the brutal, brilliant, and ultimately self-destructive world of Neo-Assyrian warfare. For 3 centuries, from around 911 to 612 BCE, the Assyrians built the largest empire the world had ever seen, and they did it with iron and fear. So, what made the Assyrian war machine so unstoppable? First, technology. While their neighbors were still using bronze, the Assyrians had mastered iron. Their weapons were harder, sharper, and more durable. Imagine facing an army with superior steel when all you have is bronze. It was a game changer. But it wasn't just about swords and spears. They were the masters of combined arms warfare. They had cavalry, archers, and of course, their iconic war chariots, fast mobile platforms for archers that could smash through enemy lines. But where the Assyrians truly excelled was in siege warfare. In the ancient world, a city with strong walls could hold out for years. Not against the Assyrians. They invented a whole new level of siege. They built massive siege towers that could roll right up to the walls, allowing their soldiers to fight on the same level as the defenders. They had enormous, armored battering rams, sometimes with multiple levels, pounding away at gates and walls. And if that didn't work, they'd build huge earthen ramps to simply go over the fortifications. Or they'd dig tunnels to undermine them. They treated every siege like a complex engineering problem, and they almost always solved it. Unlike many other ancient states that raised armies only when needed, the Assyrians had a professional, standing army. This meant they were always ready for war. Every spring, like clockwork, the king would lead his army on a campaign. The goal was simple: expand the empire, crush any opposition, and bring back immense wealth in the form of tribute and loot. This constant cycle of warfare funded the empire and kept its military sharp. The Assyrian army was a well-oiled machine, organized into specialized units with a clear command structure. They were disciplined, experienced, and utterly ruthless. And that brings us to the darkest part of their strategy: psychological warfare. The Assyrians didn't just want to defeat you. They wanted to annihilate your will to ever fight back again. Their kings were unshy about it. They boast about their cruelty and detailed carvings on their palace walls for everyone to see. These reliefs show scenes of unimaginable brutality. We're talking about flaying captured leaders alive, impaling rows of victims on stakes outside their city walls, mass crucifixions, and beheadings. The message was crystal clear: resist us, and this will be your fate. They also practiced mass deportations, uprooting entire populations and moving them across the empire to break their sense of identity and prevent organized rebellion. It was a policy of calculated terror, designed to keep their vast empire in line through fear alone. At its height, the Neo-Assyrian Empire stretched from the mountains of Iran to the deserts of Egypt. They were the undisputed superpower of their time. For a while, the terror worked. Cities would often surrender without a fight, just to avoid the horrifying consequences of resistance. But you can only rule by fear for so long. The constant brutality bred a deep and burning hatred among the conquered peoples. Egyptians, Babylonians, Elamites, everyone was just waiting for a moment of weakness. That moment came after the death of their last great king, Assyrian. The empire, weakened by internal struggles over the throne, began to show cracks, and the enemies they had made were ready to pounce. A coalition of Babylonians and Medes rose in a massive rebellion. This time, the fear wasn't enough. The deep-seated resentment fueled a war of vengeance. In 612 BCE, the great Assyrian capital of Nineveh, once the center of the world, was besieged and utterly destroyed. The fall was as swift and brutal as the empire's rise. The empire that lived by the sword died by the sword. Yet, their legacy endured. The military innovations of the Assyrians, their siege engines, their organizational structures, their use of iron didn't disappear. They were studied and adopted by the very people who overthrew them, like the Babylonians and later the Persians. In a strange way, the terrifying efficiency of the Assyrian military set the template for future empires. They showed the world how to build a global power through military might, but also provided a stark lesson in why ruling by terror alone is a foundation built on sand. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into ancient warfare fascinating, Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what ancient empire we should explore next. See you in the next video.